Assalamu alaikum rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. May peace, mercy, and blessings of Creator of the universe, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, be on all of you. Myself, Dr. Ahmed Sheikh, PhD, DSc, Doctor of Science, Head of Chemistry Department, Maharashtra College, Mumbai University, President, Islamic Vision Research Center. Today I will share with you brain, the central part of the central nervous system, which controls all the voluntary and involuntary activities of the body. There are 37 trillions of cells in our body. If millions of cells are kept together, they cannot exceed even the tip of the needle. The very single cell, it contains organelles, mitochondria, Golgi body, ribosomes, lysosomes, nucleus, so on and so forth. There are 200 different cells in our body. They have got same component but different functions in our body. The very first cell, which is formed by the union of sperm from male and ovum from the female, it gives a zygote, which keeps on dividing into different cells, which becomes different cells of different shapes and sizes. Some becomes eye cell, some becomes skin cell, some becomes ear cell, some become feet cell, some become skin cell, so on and so forth. Our body works automatically through network of neurons. There are trillion of neurons which are connected together, which are spread throughout our body. They sense the stimuli and give signal to different organs of the body accordingly. Remember, in human being, all the sense organs, let it be eye, let it be skin, let it be eye, let it be skin, let it be nose, let it be whatever organs in our body, directly or indirectly, they are connected to the brain via vessels, directly or indirectly. It is noticed that the single DNA, whatever material, whatever information is encoded in it, if a person wants to write a book, there will be crores of books will be exhausted, but the information in the DNA will not be completed. When we touch, we want to lift a particular weight with our forceps, with our fingertips. The fingertips give signal to the brain, and brain decides that how much weight has to be applied to lift that weight. It is noticed that different organs in our body, they are connected to the brain cells, and brain cells accordingly they give response to that organ of the body. Just like a reflex action. When somebody claps, we close our eyes. Remember, this contraction of muscles takes in 10 raised to minus 3 seconds. The nerve stimuli move at the speed of 9 kilometers per second. That's the reason why we are getting alerted. We become alert from many dangers. It is noticed that when we touch a hot cup of tea or coffee or a hot glass of milk, immediately we take our hands back. This is a reflex action. Thus, the brain is the central part of the central nervous system controlling all the voluntary and involuntary actions in our body. The weight of adult human brain is 1.4 to 1.5 kgs. The cerebral cortex of the brain contains 14 to 16 billions of neurons, whereas the cerebellum contains 50 to 70 billions of neurons. These neurons are connected to several other neurons and they communicate through axons. It is noticed that our brain evaluates all these information sent by all the sense organs and accordingly gives the response. There are 100 billions of cells in our brain, in our body. They work tirelessly to help us to know what is the color of the banana we eat, what is the color of the flower, and what is the flavor of the chocolate, the biscuits, the soft drinks, as well as we come to know and recognize the voice of our beloved one. For well functioning of the brain, it requires 115 grams of phosphate, same amount of glucose, and 10 to 15% of the oxygen which is consumed by the body. And it is also noticed that there are three parts of the brain. The brain stem, it is responsible for digestion and breathing, and the cerebellum for balance as well as movement, and the cerebrum is responsible for motivation as well as intelligence. Scientist C. Rod, in his book, third edition, Essentials of Anatomy and Physiology, he writes that the prefrontal area, the frontal area of the anterior portion of the frontal lobe, he writes that the anterior portion of the frontal lobe, that is the prefrontal area of cerebrum, is responsible for motivation, initiation, planning, aggression, speaking of truth, and telling the lie. Remember, this concept is given by scientists today, but the glorious Quran is talking about this fact 1400 years before in the 7th century. Chapter number 96, Surah Alaq, verse number 15 and 16. Kalla la illam yantahi lanasfa'am bin nasiyah nasiyatin qadibatin khati'ah. If he desist not, we shall certainly drag him by holding the forelock hair. What is the forelock hair? That is the lying sinful. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.